So we have a major shift in the Benson case, and it just got a little bit more complicated. The US government is no longer defending the magazine ban, but is now asking the court to rehear the case anyway. And initially, the plaintiffs pushed back hard, arguing that the government shouldn't even be allowed to make these arguments and essentially should strike this moving forward and not look at it at all. But here in this case, the court denied that motion, and instead it is allowing the plaintiffs to respond to the government's arguments. So now this case has officially moved into a new phase where the court is going to consider all of these competing arguments before deciding what to do next. So let's break down what is happening in this critical case. Now, before we jump into this video, if you want to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is simply to subscribe. You can also click the like button. That just tells the algorithm that you appreciate this content, and so it shares it with more people. Now, before we dig deeper into this topic, I want to talk about an awesome chance and opportunity that you guys, the viewers, have to take part in this channel. We've actually partnered with Them to essentially bring you an awesome chance to make these night visions that I'm going to show you, your very own, to win these Rix RV31 NVGs. So I actually have them on my personal setup right here. They're dual tube, white Foss NVGs. They're pretty budget friendly, but they are still expensive. But, you have a chance to make these ones right here that I'm holding in my hands yours. So if you win, we're going to send you these ones that I have right here. All you have to do to make these yours is just click the link down below in the details section, also in the pinned comment. Just go to fanofthim.com/scholar. Buy a limited edition, collectible or digital download. And not only will you get some cool merch, but you also get a chance to make these night visions, yours, these ones right here. We will send them to you. I'm genuinely jealous of whoever wins these because, after playing with them, shooting with them, I wish I could actually keep them, but these are going to go to one of you, the lucky winners, who clicks the link down below, goes to fanofthim.com, picks up, one of those items, and you're gonna be entered to get these and make these yours. So again, all you have to do is click the link down below in the details section or the pinned comment, or just simply go to fanofthim.com/scholar, grab some limited edition channel merch or a digital download, and you'll be automatically entered and you'll get a chance to make these amazing sets of night vision goggles, yours. So again, if you're interested in something like that, just go and click the links down below. And thank you guys so much for all of your support, and good luck to whoever wants to enter for this. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we have a very important update in the Benson magazine ban case that comes out of Washington, D.C. So first, let's quickly recap what happened in Benson, because this is critical for understanding everything that is now currently happening. The D.C. Court of Appeals ruled that the district's magazine ban does in fact violate the Second Amendment. But not only did the court strike down that ban, it also vacated multiple related convictions tied to the ban itself, and that included things like the possession of an unregistered firearm, the unlawful possession of ammunition, and then also carrying a firearm without a license. The court said that those convictions were infected by the unconstitutional magazine ban, and so they struck down all of those convictions. Now, that was a sweeping ruling and a major win in this case, and ever since that, Washington, D.C. has been trying to contain that ruling and prevent it from impacting other areas. Like I said, after losing, D.C. tried to fast track and contain this ruling. They filed for a petition for a rehearing en banc, actually for an expedited review of this case, and also they filed a motion to suspend that decision's precedential effect, and the court on review denied both of those emergency motions. That meant that there was going to be no expedited review of this case, no suspension of the ruling, and the Benson ruling remains binding precedent, at least for now. Then we had another major development where the United States government, the Trump administration, decided to step in and file a response supporting a rehearing en banc. But importantly, they did actually, not defend the magazine ban itself, but they wanted a rehearing based on the remedy that was issued by the lower court. The US government focused heavily on the remedy, and they argued that the court got the remedy wrong. Specifically, they say that the panel should not have vacated Benson's other convictions, and those included those things like the carrying of the firearm without the license, the unregistered firearm itself, and the ammunition possession as well. And according to the Trump administration, those charges are independent from the magazine ban itself, so even if the ban is unconstitutional, they argue that those convictions should still stand and that ruling down below should be reversed. Now here's where this new update comes into play. The plaintiffs initially responded to that by trying to block the US government from even participating in this case. They filed a motion to strike the government's response, arguing that that was effectively a late and improper attempt to reshape the case. They said that this really would look more like a petition for a rehearing en banc rather than just a response which was requested by the court. But now the court on review actually ruled on that issue and they denied that motion to strike. Instead of striking the filing, the court took a different approach. It allowed the plaintiffs to file a full response to the US government's arguments. And so what this means is that this is kind of a big procedural shift. Earlier, this was shaping up to be a fight over whether the US government could even participate and use that new response kind of as an en banc panel rehearing petition. But now that issue is resolved. The answer from the court is yes, those arguments from the Trump administration are going to be allowed into this case. And instead of shutting down those arguments, the court is allowing the full briefing, those to come in from the US government, and they're simply giving the plaintiffs here an opportunity to file a response to those papers. So here's where things currently stand. We have a petition for a rehearing en banc. The US government, the Trump administration, actually filed a response supporting a rehearing, but mainly on that remedy portion. The plaintiffs are opposing that rehearing, and now you have various briefs, including the administration's position, all supporting a rehearing, and really it's just the plaintiffs themselves that are saying, no, you do not need to hear this en banc. The court will now have to address the bigger question, which is, will it take the case en banc or let the panel decision actually stand? Now, this is another situation where you have the Trump administration completely failing to actually read the room when it comes to the Second Amendment. You have Jeanine Pirro, who recently made some horrible statements about if someone comes into DC with a gun, they're going to be arrested. She later had to walk back those statements after she got a ton of blowback and pushback. And then they came out saying, well, that's not what we really meant. This is the most pro-2A administration ever. But now you have them filing this response, pushing for a rehearing, and really going against one of the only major magazine ban wins that we actually have ever received. And so now they're pushing for a rehearing en banc. They're saying we just want a review of the remedy, but really that opens the door for the general review of this case and could also potentially compromise the magazine ban win that we actually got in this case. And there's potentially going to be a review based on that. And really, they're going to probably look at both aspects, both the magazine ban and the remedy that was granted. So the Benson case just took another major turn because the Trump administration made a mistake. Now it all comes down to two key questions. Will the court be swayed by the United States position? And will it take the case en banc? Or is it going to let this lower court ruling stand and remain as binding precedent? And that really then keys this case up to go to the Supreme Court if that happens. So that's the latest update in the Benson case. As soon as we hear more, as soon as we get more information of what the court does, if they're going to grant rehearing in this case, I will let you guys know. If you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is simply to like, comment, and subscribe. All of those things help to fuel the algorithm and just tells the algorithm that you appreciate this type of content, and so it shares it with more people. But as always, thank you so much for all of your support. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.